is a big hit to the economy, frankly. And I think that's what those moderate Democrats are really afraid of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do kind of agree and disagree, and to the fact that there is a lot of people who would probably not see their lives changed in any way, no matter who the president is. But I just don't think it's the same people that you're talking about. I think it's the people who are really in the kind of same social classes. Like me and you are, is the people who are like, our healthcare won't really be taken away. Like, we will always, like, we are in a good position. But if someone like Donald Trump gets in and proposes to, or even a Michael Bloomberg proposes to cut entitlement programs, which is something that I think Republicans want to do, maybe even some Democrats want to do, and he actually is going to have the stomach to do it. Like, if those entitlements are get put on the table, and even if it, as Bernie Sanders has always said, Joe Biden, if he gets in the table, if he tries to push some of those cuts through, like, then it really starts to matter who's president. I think it's like, for us, like, I think our lives generally, we will be comfortable no matter who is president. Like, we will always, our like Trump, like, we freak out, oh, Trump's so bad, like, he's getting rid of the norms. Like, that doesn't really matter. Like, in the end of the day, like, we're still living the exact same life. Like, it doesn't, norms, schmorms, like, people people are having a much worse than us due to the Trump presidency and a Bloomberg presidency, or maybe even a Biden presidency as well. But I think especially with the Bloomberg presidency, like, that stuff would continue, and I think it would, the same kind of cuts to essential programs would continue, and I think way more effectively, because Bloomberg's a much smarter guy.
Yes, he is. And you know what? There's an old saying: only Nixon could go to China. Right? He was a staunch anti-communist. He was, involved in so much anti-communism. But then, he was a guy who presented the olive branch. I think only a guy like Bloomberg or Joe Biden could attack entitlements. And that's probably, like Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton reform welfare, right? That was a Democrat.
I don't think necessarily that they'll be allowed to do that without a big fight from the left, though.
Yes, but how left is everyone? I mean, again, you got to look at how.
I think when it comes to especially their entitlement, like, pretty far left.
Hold on, say that again.
I think when it comes to their, like, entitlement programs and the money that they need to survive, like Social Security, like food stamp, like stuff like they're pretty protective of that, even if they don't have to be far left on paper.
Yes, I agree. There are some sacred cows. There's no doubt. Okay, Social Security is one of them, and then the elderly, they're a pretty substantial coalition, so to speak,
and a big voting coalition.
They're a big constituency for anyone. Older people tend to vote more religiously.
Yes,
they tend to vote a little more conservatively. When it comes to financial issues, but not social issues. Listen, they'll protect their own entitlements. So you can bet that Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, but only in Washington, when you lower the rate of increase, is it called a cut? Okay, only in Washington is that called a cut. So,
or spending freeze or something like that, what Joe Biden wants to do.
Exactly. It's like we're still going to spend more year after year. We're just not spending it at the same percentage increase, but you call it a cut. And there's so much doublespeak in Washington. Bernie is guilty of plenty of it, but so is Donald Trump. Everyone is full of sins.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is whether the swamp will be truly drained in a Bernie Sanders presidency, or will the swamp drain him? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's funny because everyone acknowledges that there is something swampy about Washington, right? Everyone.
Even the swamp creatures at this point.
Exactly. But, it's ideology counts. So, Donald Trump has plenty of ideological fellows who Democrats might consider the swamp. Do you know what I mean? And vice versa. So I'll tell you one thing will be interesting is if Bernie actually does have a plurality, but not a majority.
Yeah, I think
what will happen?
I think if Bernie comes in with more votes than anybody else and not the nomination, you can write Trump second term in stone.
100% agreed.
100%. You could. It's done right there. Because
go ahead.
Oh no, you can go.
Yeah, I was wondering. I am wondering how the Democrats. Now, Bernie's not a Democrat.
No, yeah, and I think I think that probably helps him more than it hurts him.
In how
with
so?
With the average person.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Not with with Washington people. Like nobody likes him in Washington. Like Hillary Clinton was right about that. Nobody likes him in Washington. But with the average people, I think that really helps him because it's like he's the outsider. He really is the outsider. And people have seen the videos of him like giving speeches to like empty rooms and all that stuff on the House floor and like that. I think that helps him a little bit.
It probably does. Well, it helps him because he's got a spotlight on him, right? And his entire persona is geared for this moment in American politics. He's gruff. He's staunch about his opinions, and I got to be honest, there's not a lot of substance in his policies.
He's not a wonk in the same way Elizabeth Warren is, that's for sure.
Correct. But now I think that was to her detriment, too, that she was so wonky. She was trying to put numbers on Bernie's ideology.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
And they came off as like really weird and like dishonest as well. I think, honestly, I think the best thing I saw, like analyzing Elizabeth Warren, I talked about this last night, was from Chris Christie, of all people. He was on Stephen Colbert's show. I don't know if you saw this, but he was pretty much just like, the progressives don't think she's genuine, which is absolutely true, and the moderates don't trust her because she's been a progressive for so long. Like, she's in no man's land.
She is, and their numbers show it. So it's that simple. I don't know how she can continue. I don't see it, with Steyer done, Buttigieg done. I don't think any of those votes end up hers. I think all those votes end up on Bloomberg's plate or Biden's plate, and not hers. I don't see her benefiting from any of this. And my personal feeling is that she keeps running because she's praying for Bernie to just tap her to be something in his government. And
I'm not entirely sure it's with Bernie, because her staying in hurts Bernie's campaign, though.
Yeah, but look at her
Maybe
numbers.
It's with Biden. Maybe it's
not
with
by
Biden.
much. she's becoming a rounding error.
Yeah, she's getting into Tulsi territory pretty soon.
Pretty soon, and listen, you just mentioned someone who's a true lightning rod in the in the Democrat Party. She appeals to conservatives and certain kinds of Democrats. I think she's probably got some legs in a government, in a non-Bernie government.
Yeah, I don't know who, because she's not very popular. I think Bernie's unpopular with the Democratic or any of the Washington D.C. establishment. Tulsi is not much better. But interestingly enough, if you look at the second choice supporters of Biden, Buttigieg, and Warren, they're all Bernie, which is the only person who Bloomberg supporters are second choice. is Joe Biden. But yeah. So yeah, it was really kind of surprising. So if Warren goes down, if like 21-19, Bernie Sanders, his second choice, is the highest second choice among Buttigieg supporters. So that's hopefully gets a little bit of a bounce from that. But I'm sure everyone's going to get a little bit of a bounce from Buttigieg dropping. But
yeah, it might be divided up.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bernie's going to have more problems than the polls suggest in the long run. I think since we're talking about Democrat voters, and I've been looking at the real clear averages. In some states, it's a dead heat between Biden and
North Carolina, for example.
Yeah, listen, Tuesday is going to be a phenomenal day.
Everything's going to happen at once.
Exactly. It's I was watching. It might have been Karl Rove talking about the numbers of delegates, and he said, right now, and this was before yesterday. He said we're just like in the first inning. He says by Tuesday we're in the middle of the game.
Yeah, it's a third of delegates. It's a third of delegates coming in, and I've heard that like a place like California, the votes won't be counted by Tuesday night, maybe not even by Wednesday, but like hopefully we'll know a winner in like the biggest states like California and Texas. But I think those will all be very interesting to watch. California, Texas, Massachusetts, I think could be very interesting. If Elizabeth Warren gets beat in her home state, I think that like it's going to be very hard to see. Like people are going to call for her to get on out of the race at this point.
She probably ought to get out just
already
because it's that close in her own state.
Yeah. Because she could get primaried from that, like by
exactly. Amy Klobuchar, she's got the same problem. She's only doing well in her own Midwestern bubble. It's not like there's a lot of clamor for her, and I find that unfortunate as someone who's a little more in the center, because she was someone who was making a lot of sense from the beginning. It goes to show you how overwhelmingly appealing Bernie Sanders is to the left in the Democrat Party, and without specifics, without real numbers. Every day there's a brand new group of people who are going to get something.
No one's really quite won a campaign with numbers, though. I think you win it with a narrative.
Yeah, I agree. But then you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck having to come up with numbers anyway.
But I think I do think Bernie, though, he's got the right people for numbers and stuff like that, though. I think he could come up with the numbers like pretty easily if he hammers out, like, because there's a bunch of people who have been waiting behind the scenes like to put this kind of policy in place, and if they get the chance, I think they'll be able to step up to the plate pretty efficiently.
Yeah, and still won't be able to make it all add up. So that's the real problem.
Yeah, and I think the biggest threat to them is like the kind of opposition they face, but because just the pure amount of money they're going to be going up against, it's just so it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that's what $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Pretty soon you got some money. That's why I think Bloomberg's money is probably the biggest threat to Bernie Sanders, because Bloomberg can stick it out right to the end
and suck up all those delegates.
Yep.
And honestly, I think there's a lot of people, even the Democratic Party, even like the people who run, not Democratic Party voters, but people in the Democratic Party, people in Washington, that would much rather see Trump win than Bernie Sanders win.
I agree with that. I think in the bowels of the Democratic Party, they're already trying to figure out how to survive another 4 years of Donald Trump and come back with someone who can win.